before you start listening to the interview, guys, there is a brief period in the podcast. I think it goes on for about 10 minutes or so. Where there is this is something like it's like bingo or something going on next door, and you can hear it's quite loud, but you can hear us over that. Just know that it does stop. It's only for 10 minutes of the interview or so. Because it was recorded in a social club, so hopefully you guys can understand that it wasn't easy to find a very quiet place. That was the quietest place we got, and it was a very quiet place other than when the bingo was going on. But yeah, just bear with. You'll be able to hear the interview just fine. Just bear in mind that it does go away. Don't worry about it, and just enjoy the interview. Hello everyone, welcome to the Northeast Wrestling Podcast, and today we'll have Jam O'Malley and Euan G Mackie in together. They are called the Z List. So the first question is for both of you, how did you originally get into wrestling?
Yeah, you can go first if you want, Jam.
Yeah.
I'm Euan, by the way. Should you hear this voice frequently throughout the podcast, you'll know that this is the voice of the very good Mr. Euan G Mackie.
If you hear this voice, you'll know this is the voice of the very wonderful Jam O'Malley. I'm not very good, but I'm a little bit wonderful.
You added that wonderful in.
I'm a little bit wonderful. I like thinking I'm a little bit wonderful. Got into wrestling maybe about the usual nonsense, 4 or 5 years old. Big brothers were into wrestling. They had wrestling tapes. Of course, I would watch them, and they grew out of wrestling, and turns out I didn't. I just stayed a wrestling fan. Euan?
Yeah. I'm assuming this question is, why do you like wrestling in general?
Yeah.
Because I remember years ago, lots of the guys I knew that went to school and primary school had stickers of wrestlers, and I knew that Hulk Hogan was a wrestler, but I assumed it was along the lines of there was more sporting involved. And when I saw that it was Grand Spectacle, and I was told these rumours, like you get the brilliant wrestling rumours when you're younger before the internet. There'd been 2 Ultimate Warriors and Kamala being in the Rumble 95, even though that was Mantar and Kamala was black and not white. You know, the Ultimate Warrior dying, and there was like 4 Undertakers, you know, that kind of stuff. But one of the rumours that they were talking about was that wrestlers were they killed people, and it was I thought a barbaric, brutal thing. I was told the earthquake broke men's necks by landing on them, and I thought, how horrible, I hate this. And I was somebody that grew up watching a lot of like superhero things. I was into like the Turtles and things like that, so I understood that for it to be real, I thought, what a horrible thing to do. And then I learned that it was seen as sporting, and I didn't realise whether or not it was the real deal or not. But what I decided was I liked the spectacle of it when I got a little bit older, and one of my friends was really into it. He told me a lot about it, and I realised this isn't barbaric at all. It's not like the Colosseum, you know. I thought, I quite like this actually. I like the spectacle. And in 1994 I saw a match with Adam Bomb, of all people. It was the first wrestling match I saw, against a contender or competitor, some guy there made to lose to Adam Bomb. But I saw that, and I think it was called Tony DeVito. He was!
Yeah, Tony
DeVito.
Yeah, I know my 90s jobbers.
And Adam Bomb beat him, and I thought Adam Bomb's eyes glowing, everything about it was amazing, and I thought, so this is what wrestling was. And I learned about what tag teams were and all this kind of stuff, and I thought, wow, how varied and interesting this is. And for then I was like, real life superheroes.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't like them, but I thought this is like real life superheroes, but sportsmen. It's more interesting than football, and it's a lot more physical than some of these sports. I like this. So that's how I ended up enjoying it.
You're saying your first match was DeVito and Adam Bomb.
Yeah.
My first match was Coco Beware versus a Brooklyn Brawler, and I thought it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know, but I wasn't that bothered about wrestling until I seen WrestleMania 6.
Yeah.
The whole show just made me go, amazing. I'm going to keep watching this. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it would seem, ladies and gentlemen, that the roof is speaking to us now, for there's still a show upstairs, actually.
7555.
Oh, they're doing a tombola.
Doing a tombola. I guess we'll be heard more than this.
We better be.
I hope so, but
anyway,
we will continue. So,
screw you, Tombola.
Yeah, fuck you.
Watch your language, sir. You upset Euan.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
do you
was
not?
almost no racism in that language he used there as well. Or sly digs
At Jimmy.
at Jimmy. You know. Yeah. Okay. Our next.
Sorry, your next question. Sorry. Yeah.
Next question. What was the original idea behind the Z list?
Well, interestingly enough, at the time, I'd been wrestling for a couple of years, and I was in a tag team and working at SWA, Scottish Wrestling Alliance.
Right.
And Jam had been a part of SWA since forever.
Yeah.
But he'd been a manager / in-ring competitor at times, and Jam and I had known each other since. I mean, he'd been at refereeing at events, so he knew me. Anyway, he'd known me for years. But the thing that we'd noticed at the time is that I put in a lot of graft, and anyone who's listening to this who wants to challenge that can come and find me in Castle Macula where I live, and just say to you, I don't think you put in the work here, then I will bring you down a peg and show you many videos, all of the scars, bruises and bumps and everything like that. But one day, after a gala day at SWA, Jam and I had spoken. Instead of us being opposite end of the spectrum, I'd wrestled him once or twice, and I thought, we don't fit in. I've tried to fit in, and I'm given at my height, I was small, I was physically very small and just unusual, and everyone had seen like a kind of comedic flyer, and with Jam it was just, Jam was just a sideshow character, and we thought, well, what would happen if we formed this unusual alliance? We already got on really well as friends, but we began to know each other a lot better because we were in the same environment a lot. And we came up with this idea that there was it was a parody, it wasn't even a parody, it was a knock at a former SWA faction called the A-List. And they all went around doing this kind of A, like, you know, at the end of the chorus of YMCA, because they believed that they were the top-notch crop of Scottish wrestling at the time. And we thought, regardless of how good Jam and I could ever be, people would never view us as the traditional, what was thought of wrestlers. So we thought, well, there's only one thing we could really be. If that was the A-List, we are the Z-List. And we are to this very day. In all of our incarnations and what we've done and where we've gone, we quite happily tell you that we're the bottom of the barrel. But for our realisation of this, I think that's what has made people think, you know what, there may be a good representation of what you don't expect in professional wrestling. So that's where the name came from, and that's where this idea came from, that we could get away with so much more, whereas lots of guys that want to be clean-cut wrestlers have got to abide by rules, they've got to perform every night, and if they perform every night, they've got to perform to a standard. Nobody's really believing much out of us except they know that we're going to be a bit wacky. So if we perform above and beyond the call of duty, people are kind of thinking, you know what, the Z-List, we saved ourselves. It wasn't a knock at the job squad, it was more of a, if we don't belong, we'll show you. We worked hard, just like everybody else. We did what we felt was right, and we stuck at it when a lot of people who were told they were going to be superstars left. But Jam and I are still there, and maybe not the people you want to see after all the work's over and stuff's said and done, but we're the people who remain there and continue to this very day. I was told that I was a novelty, I would be gone in a couple of years because there's no place for small wrestlers, and here I am, still being a total douche. So, you know.
It was the same kind of the comedy. It was like you done comedy, then I was doing comedy.
And they were telling us comedy will never get anywhere, you know. And then a really, really fat person was really funny in Scotland once, and everyone liked it.
And it's, but it's worked out really well. It's also kind of worked out well for us. But the short version of how the Z-List came together is pretty much, it was a drunken idea.
Yeah, we just thought, what if we team? Because I didn't want to team with who I was teaming with, because he was such a fairy. And he was. If he hears this podcast, he'll know it, and he'll wish that we were in a room, just wall to wall cock. But he's not here. That's his favourite thing. But he was getting too serious, and I was getting too comedic. So I was to be the cheerleader of the group, and he was to be the thoroughbred wrestler. And I thought, you know what, all my flipping and flying, leaping about, making the people cheer doesn't seem to matter anymore. You know? So Jam and I thought, well, if we're not going to be appreciated, we're going to play on the fact we're not appreciated and remind you just how much we stick out. Like a sore arse / thumb in the arse. So.
I think we did that job tonight.
Yeah, we certainly did.
We weren't like anyone else on, and that's one thing that you and I pride ourselves on. We don't look and sound and act like anyone else on the shows.
And I think because Jam's taken stick over the years, but you know what, people will not. They'll find after a while they can't touch him, and I don't mean touch to go to prison kind of touch. He wouldn't mind that.
Oh,
But
yeah,
he's
they
taken
can
stick.
touch me.
I've taken stick because they were like, none of that makes any sense. I'm like, oh, look at what we're doing. Of course it makes perfect sense. When there's people running around, John Fire and Chris Water, who are slapping their legs and doing kicks to each other, whereas Jam and I aren't really insulting our audience. And interestingly enough, there was a little boy crying when we came out as villains there because he was terrified of what we were, and we thought, good. If we're not going out there to tell you, oh, we're a clean-cut tag team, we don't need to be. Z-List, however, looks genuinely like it probably just come out the back of a white van, you know? And that's where you kind of think, you know, that's more real, that's more true. It's not a monster movie,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
It's more like Escape from the Back of a White Van.
Yes.
So, with the gimmicks you both have now, have they been the same since day one? Or I know that Euan's had multiple gimmicks, but
I'll try and keep a short version of it, but I'll let Jam go first.
I don't. You see, you've got two different types of people that talk about wrestling. I always laugh when folks say, "Oh, your gimmick's great," because that's just me having a laugh. It's me just enjoying myself. It's me just letting go. It's how it's me turning up the volume times 10. I know some wrestlers say, "Oh, no, that's not me. I'm a different." Well, I don't. I've always just done what's felt natural. I don't ever have it in my mind. Someone was saying, "Oh, your entrance was great tonight. You and Euan had a really great, interesting, different entrance." Because like you get the tag teams to go out and they do all their tag team poses. Me and Euan will stand on the stage and like I was rolling around the floor, and punching myself.
I think I must have taken at least 5 minutes to take my clothes off. Which was a very long striptease.
We basically, so for me it's just having a laugh. It's enjoying yourself. It's being yourself. Just turning up the volume times 10.
Yeah.
As far as the gimmicks go, I don't, or if you want to call it a gimmick,
Alright.
we've changed like
Definitely.
like when you and I were first a tag team, we wore like tutus and leopard print. Then eventually we wound up against each other in a really violent match. Bloody Tombola. A really violent match that Euan came up with, Nursery Crimes.
Yeah, which was all the weapons that would normally be in a hardcore match and a death match are just switched with toys, meaning that weapons aren't legal, but toys are legal. And a lot of people will go, "Oh, Chikara did that." Oh, and I think, no, if you can for a minute suspend your necessity to bum up popular internet promotions or anywhere that's done a Lego match, the whole psychology was, and a lot of promotional material and loads of things I did, I seem to have these almost living entities that were toys appearing, things that were, and toys are cliched used in horror for being scary, but this was genuinely, there was something solemn and a bit poignant about what was legitimately my old toys from being younger, Lego, things like that it was kind of like, okay, what I was doing was pretty creepy, but at the same time very imaginative. And some people have said about Nursery Crimes you've seen in the past, particularly our one, was it wasn't the best wrestling match because there was very little wrestling, but for it being a match, a story being told, and for the structure of it, it was wonderful because we found creative ways to do things with toys, and I had one with Rabbit and Radpool as well, and he swantoned me holding Buzz Lightyear and shouted into infinity and beyond, and it's that little buzz that the crowd can get, realising that yep, exactly, did you see what I did there? It's that little buzz that the crowd can get looking and go, you know what, they're doing some funny things with the toys here, but it's actually something that you can go, oh, like a Death Valley driver into Lego isn't something to smile about. You know, but at the same time, when I had one against Randy Valentine, I used to be Nursery Crimes too, I drove into him with a tiny Lightning McQueen and ran in and kind of hip attacked him in the corner with Iron Man's mask on my ass cheeks. So it was all done for comedic effect, and it was also, it should be appreciated as what it is, a blow off to usually a feud in the most unusual of ways. It's memorable, it's supposed to be.
And when you and I had our match, it was great because for the first time people were coming over to me and Euan saying, you guys are actually wearing wrestling gear.
Yeah.
You know, you are like Euan, what was it? Is it something similar to what you've gone just now?
It was similar,
Sorry.
Yeah, it was. I was in wrestling gear. We weren't fighting in tutus anymore. We were in this gritty situation. We were actually wearing wrestling gear and beating each other up in a whole mound of toys.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, the direction of gimmicks here, and I'll be very, very quick. When I started, I wore a lot of pink. I had a pink fan, a top hat and a cane. I was very much like a kind of compere, a host, some kind of MC for the evening, like almost like somebody you'd expect to walk out before a burlesque performance, go, ladies and gentlemen, your next act tonight.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking genius. As it turned out, at the time, in the time in Scottish wrestling when it happened, comedy must not happen. You must not wear pink. You can fly and do springboard 450s. Do them instead.
Yeah.
But the guys that were booking me, the guys that trained me, said, no, believe in that comedy. You can get somewhere.
Yeah.
But it disheartened me pretty quickly because I was tired of being fed to monsters or people that were on the rise, and they wouldn't let me get a word in Edgewood, wouldn't let me get stuff in Edgewood, or they wanted me to change into this slappy leggy, leapy, important wrestler. But when I switched from being the entertainer, which was not my choice of name, I just wanted to be E.G. Mackie, which I realise is a bit boring now, but at the time I quite liked being this flouncy entertainer guy that was quite witty. Then I became one of the disco biscuits and ran around with tight jeans on and sold shutter shades before that was really popular in Scottish wrestling. And then I got quite disheartened with things in general because I watched as many of my peers excelled and a lot of people were having more things, whereas I was just kind of glorified ring crew as well, and I got to a point where I thought, I'm working really hard at this and crowds all over that I'm wrestling for are really enjoying what I'm doing. Why can't I get any further? And I got quite bitter at wrestling, and then the brakes went off completely. I had a concussion after I dived out the ring at a show, watched as wrestling quite fickly was like, oh well, that'll be him done. And I thought, you know what? I'm not done, and within months returned as the very good Mr. Euan G. Mackie with the mask, the goggles, the mask, the hat, started to spit the mist, appeared with the tutu, absolutely off in a wee trolley, and people began to take notice. All of a sudden it went from the end of 2011 to 2012, 2013, and all of a sudden it was a case of, this is very interesting, or this is weird, this is unusual, and Jam and I had already thought the Z list would hopefully happen, and it was the February of 2012 it kicked off because Jam's hair had grown beyond all expectations. It was coming out the door and all the way down the street. It was doing his shopping for him. Jam's hair was everywhere.
I missed having that hair.
And he was originally, you were like you had that, what was it? You weren't the sideshow Jam O'Malley.
I was handsome Jam, but I
O'Malley,
became the sideshow just after that, and I was like, it was at that time when we were talking about it could work out. But this is honest truth. I wound up refereeing a match with Euan and Spinner McKenzie.
Oh yeah.
And but no, actually it was before I refereed that match with Euan and Spinner. I was at a show in Stirling. It was at the Albert Halls. And Euan was, I can't remember who you were wrestling, but. Sorry, didn't mean to swear it is. I was trying to say 2 seconds and I'd done that and I was like, oh, sugar, I just realised that's what it is. Sorry guys, actually no, Debbie, I just swore at Debbie Sharp, ladies and gentlemen, and I stand by it. Fuck you, Debbie.
Me too.
But yeah, like...
That's not nice. I'm a really nice person.
No, you're not.
She's just invaded the podcast. Edit her out.
Edit me out.
Keep us in. Oh, you're siding with her now?
I'm not.
Let's get him.
Let's get him.
But yeah, we wound up. I wound up at a show watching, and like, it was the first time I've seen Euan wrestle, and I thought, this guy's different. He's interesting. You know, he wasn't like anyone else on the card.
Wild Promotions.
Yeah, that was it. It was for a while for Carl Conroy, and I remember thinking, you know what, like, this is interesting. It was very good.
Oh,
so yeah, that's how we first started talking. I remember walking over to you and saying, I loved the match, and after that we just always seemed to
just
get
got
on.
And that's, as you know, that when Jam becoming the sideshow, me becoming the very good Mr. Euan G. Mackie, after what we'd kind of experienced, we'd spoke about, we just decided, you know what, we'll give it a shot, and it worked. To an extent, I guess.
Yeah, we've been on and off.
It's had multiple incarnations. We're a little bit like Outcast, you know. I think am I Big Boy? You can be Andre 3000.
I don't mind being Andre.
You can be him.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
So you say you've been on and off, but how long was it? Like, how long?
2012 was when we started
together?
Doing the Z list stuff, and then it reached like a kind of good fever pitch, and then for some reason we were easily jobbable, and just like, right, it's funny when you guys run around and be silly, so do that. And you'd think, right, okay, but we wanted to get kind of brought into big meaty storylines or to get something out of wrestling, but instead we were just kind of like Timon and Pumbaa. So after a while, I think
Wait, does that make me Pumbaa?
Well, I could be.
Oh,
I could be Pumbaa if you want. He does fart like a waterhog anyway. So.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I think Jam and I also went off in different directions. We were working on two different sides of the country, and to be honest, we were trying to we'd like to team together, but when it didn't happen so frequently, we didn't get bogged down by it. We thought, okay, we'll just work where we can, wrestle who wants to wrestle the Z list, and we'll probably always be able to, even when we didn't work together at ICW, we still Z listed it up.
We were all there. And can you remember that time where a couple of promoters even tried to stop us from working together?
Yeah.
Promoters went together and banded together, tried to stop me and you from working together.
Really?
You know?
Like, what's it, from several promotions? Or like,
it was just like two of them.
Certain places, I don't think they liked the fact that it gave us something to ride with that they had no control over. But the upside was, that time there was a massive thread, and I can't remember if it was Chris Renfrew that started it, but it wasn't anything bad. It was every people discussing something wrestling, and we totally hijacked it by saying, get naked, just throughout the whole thing. And he got to the end of it, he was like, bloody Z list, ruining my thread. And I thought, they've acknowledged the Z list. Now that we exist, we're like the boogeymen. You know, you've said we exist now, you've called us a Z list, a massive lot of people. Now they need to know that this combination was... And you know, when we used to walk around in nightclubs after shows at the garage and stuff like that, people would call us the Z list. We hadn't even performed in front of them as a Z list. They just called that union, I guess, of two absolute douches.
And remember, we were outside, was it Mark Dallas's birthday, and everyone was dressed as wrestlers, so we just went in our tag gear.
Yeah, we
went up outside Grand Central Hotel in Glasgow, and this guy came out. Me and you were just sitting there chatting away, and he goes, "Oh, thank God you're here. Come on in." We're like, "What?" And he goes, "Come on in." And we're like, "Where?" And he goes, "I use the band." No, we're not a band. And he goes, "Why are you dressed like that?" And we just looked at each other, I don't really know. It's just
we just thought we would.
That was at the tutu leopard print time.
Yeah, it was.
So,
Debbie's going away, everyone. Yay!
I'm waiting to get Thai food.
Yay! Bye,
Will you be coming back?
No.
How am I getting home?
oh,
You're not.
Oh, that sucks.
You can stay with us.
well, see you later.
Bye, everyone.
Screw you, Debbie.
No.
So, were you close friends for 4 years with tagging, or
Yeah. We got on really well. That's probably how it happened. We had a lot of nights trying to put the wrestling world to right.
Yeah. Have you had any like arguments or disagreements as a tag team?
I don't know
if that's...
in a sense where it wasn't heated.
Yeah, like it was not as if we were like, oh, I hate him or I hate him. It was just like we've just kind of had just occasional kind of, well, and this was again down to just which folk weren't booking places as a team, and then eventually this always happens. We'd go like maybe 6 months when no one books as a tag team, then someone would eventually go, right, I'm going to book you as a tag team. And I think maybe that's why the gimmicks, or you should call it gimmicks, all changed up, because we wound up we wound up like not teaming for months, and then when we teamed again, like the tutus were kind of gone, and like you were Mega Mackie Z last time. Oh yeah,
I forgot to throw that out there, but that's my Mega evolution. And very quickly, just to mention, that happened right when so many other wrestlers were going, oh, they're body painting things, and oh, I'm exploring a dark side of my personality. Just so you know that when I'm Mega evolved, my dark side is a flying drag queen. So I win at the dark side, I think. So
my dark side was being a clown.
With
everyone's got cool face paint, and I became a clown.
A clown. A gay clown.
Yeah, a homosexual doink.
But I don't think we ever really fell out properly. There's maybe times where we thought, that's maybe not a good idea, but we never really fell out because we were aware that in the wrestling world we were kind of on our own, and nobody was going to stick up for us. Unless, of course, Jam did a really clever thing and decided to start running a promotion. Now everybody's his friend, but I didn't, so I'm nobody's friend now. I'm not worth anything. So we don't fall out about that, though. In fact, if anything, I kind of have to look after good people in an environment that's quite cutthroat. So we maybe have had disagreements, but none of it's been too vicious, and it's certainly not been about the tag team. No,
we've we both have different views on wrestling. That's no secret. We've got so many of the same views, and that's what kind of brought us together as friends and as a tag team. But as time went on, we kind of did have I went my way, which started, which was a total accident. I wound up helping like train people, and I wound up booking shows and stuff like that, you know, and helping out at SWA because at that point in time, Big Damo was the booker there, and he was my friend, so I wanted to help him out the best I could. Until he left the company, and not long after he left, I actually left. But yeah, we've never really argued as far as anything tag team goes. We've had a few differences of opinions and things, but nothing really too bad. I think the only thing we've really fallen out with is what's your favourite part of anyone?
Oh yeah, your favourite part of Yum Yum?
The nipples.
Definitely his womble noses.
Nipples.
We've never disagreed on
Okay,
that.
we didn't disagree on that, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. We've never had that bad of fallouts. We've for the short answer, we have, but nothing too major.
No, nothing too major.
No major. Promos, like I've seen loads of your promos, Euan. And I saw your promo for Shield that you done towards Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. This to both of you, like, have you always been confident doing promos, or is it like a natural?
No, I've always I did a lot of like theatre, and I went to uni to learn a bit more. I did drama and theatre arts, so speaking and coming up with stuff on the fly wasn't too difficult. The thing I noticed mainly is that I've always thought wrestling promos in the olden days of wrestling were quite they were just like that, but they were actually they were quite enthralling, like the Ultimate Warrior speaking and things like that. What I noticed and began to annoy me, and Jam will tell you, is that a lot of wrestlers who didn't have much to them, they may be really good talent, but they'd come towards the camera and there was no, and especially in this country, and if you're listening, every other wrestler in the country who was crap at promos years ago, there was a lot of white wall kind of, I respect you such and such, but on the 31st of March at the hall for I am going to beat you because I will win, and it will be different than the last time when I lost, because this time I will win, I will win, and I will leave you lying in a pool of your own blood looking at the lights, because I am, insert really crap wrestling name, and then insert really crap catchphrase.
So you're good, but I'm better.
Yeah, exactly. And I used
All
to
the
go,
time.
this is atrocious, and I know this person's maybe not confident. What I'm going to do is go in from a completely different angle and try and bring people in through other means rather than coming into a traditional wrestling promo, which I could probably get away with, but I thought I need it to be memorable, and that's why I really enjoy the horror edge to what I'm doing. And even then, when people are doing scary gimmicks, what they do can be cliched at times, because it can be quite difficult to rouse up fear, confusion and horror, and to get that kind of hairs coming up on the back of the neck feeling, when some people, and I'm going to talk about people who I've had to work with before, who've gone from having a very normal kind of gimmick to wanting to be different, and they'll say, oh, we can make this kind of illusion, and I'll come out wearing a straitjacket, and I'll come out wearing one of those hospital bands. Like, no, don't tell the crowd, don't tell the people what you are, let them like plant the seeds. You'll know in time, you'll be able to give them more, but you need their reaction to kind of finally build up what you are. And when I do promos, it's not always necessary. If you're going to at any point suddenly raise your voice and go into a really mad thing, you do that to show discontent or something like that. Obviously a lot of the wrestling you're doing is you're essentially selling yourself, but at the same time, if you're about to fight somebody, you're not going to go, well, you can come around to mine and I'll make you your dinner, have a big cuddle after it. It's not, a promo is kind of to sell yourself as well, but at the same time, don't tell people too much, like I'm doing just now, because people will get bored, but you can sell it so that they want to see more. And if you do a really good promo, you need to keep people captivated, and that's why I think me doing promos, I certainly want something different, and it's easy now to just go, oh, we'll find an abandoned building and do a promo, but sometimes you need to make people be on edge, so that people like to watch trailers for films. That's probably the best part of going to the cinema, is all the little mini trailers for how they make you feel. I think a promo should be like that, and even if it's Jam simply saying on the 31st of March, Jam O'Malley is going to be here for Rad Pro Wrestling, doing a thing, whatever it is, Jam is wanting to captivate the people so that they come to see the show. He's essentially also selling himself. If he's boring, saying, I fought you last time, Cabbie, Klowaski, and it was a match that I had and I did a move, and people are not going to be captivated by that, and it's going to be, but if they see a level of intensity, even if all he has is a white wall behind him, it sells it. If Jam did something like where he, I don't know, he was on the roller coaster and did his promo, that's interesting, that's new, so Jam, I think, was always comfortable. He did one amazing one where he was dressed as a woman in the ring, as Jam O'Malley.
I will actually, being honest, I wasn't very confident at promos at first. Like, I was actually very nervous, very shy. Not a lot of people believe it, but that's true. I'm quite a shy person. So it took a bit of time for me to kind of grasp this, but when I grasped it, I was like, okay, let's run with it. You and I have had some interesting promos.
Yeah.
We had on the Cave. We came
Oh
at the
yeah,
Cave.
yeah, that was for Rad Pro as well.
Yeah, it was for Rad Pro. We had the, where else did we have? I had one where I came out from under a bed. I had one where I came out the cupboard.
Yeah. Oh well, you know, he's always needed to.
That's about time. And then like we had one in the bath as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. For anyone that wants to know, I had shorts in the bath. Euan didn't.
Yeah, I was naked.
He was
But
naked.
everyone will be like, "Oh, it was Jam. He's the crazy one. He'll be naked." No, I was.
He was.
I was naked. You know, everyone expects I was probably wearing like really, really debonair, lovely swimming trunks. I'm like, no, he was naked. So yeah, it's always good. I always come up with ideas and quite enjoy it. So always be interesting. And we can afford to be. There's some straight-laced wrestlers who probably should just have a promo saying, "I'm at the peak of my physical conditioning. I can wrestle. At the show, I will wrestle such and such." That's fine. They'll probably go in and do a good job, but we have the liberty to do almost anything we want because we can justify it.
Yeah, but to be fair, if we were to say we're at the physical peak of our condition, that'd be a lie.
Well, maybe not for me.
Not for you, but for me, yeah.
For me, I think this is the best I've ever felt. Yeah. So
yeah,
there you go. As much as
promos.
I've undressed as time has gone by, I'm going to do a pile of my clothes.
And I've run out of beer, so
Yeah.
what next?
This is going to be a hard one, like, but
Okay.
what were your this is the funniest story you have together?
Oh,
Oh goodness.
something that won't get us to jail.
Yeah.
Funniest story of things that we've done.
Okay.
There's
We-
quite a few.
The one that we were talking about earlier on was I was working for a promotion. It wasn't a very good promotion. It was pretty shitty, if I'm honest.
Was
But
it the one that was run by a really old man?
a really old man and a man that didn't, like, a very stingy man.
Oh,
A stingy
yeah,
man
yeah.
and an old man. So the old man's friend was the referee. He was a pervy man. And the pervy man referee refused to count during my match, which actually effed things up. At the end of the match, I turned around and smacked this boy square in the balls. I done my bow and I smacked him in the balls, so he hits the dick. He's on the floor. I go backstage and I see Euan in the stage in his full gear. So we go backstage. And I see a stack of chairs. Euan had been stealing the MC's chair and just piling it behind the door where the MC was. So the MC kept getting new chairs and every time he did that. So there's a stack of chairs sitting there. And I tried to talk to Euan, asking him what he thought of the match, and Euan's just like, and he kind of shooed me off, and I went, oh, what's he doing? Full mask, goggles, and all that, the hat. The referee comes back, and he's not very happy because he's just been hitting the bobby. That means dick. For those who don't know what bobby means, it means dick. So he comes through and boom, Euan hits him again, and he hits the deck, and he's like, oh, Mackie, why? And then the MC comes through, opens the door, and the chairs all hit the floor, and Euan runs away. And the promoter walks past and he sees the referee down, he sees all these chairs lying everywhere, and he starts swearing at me, and I was like, actually, I didn't do much. And like, I just see Euan in the corner. Then Euan spent the rest of the show pantsing one of the guys.
Yeah, and he was the easiest guy to pants.
Big pleathers.
But the pleathers he was wearing at the time, they were just, I could fleece him off them. It was like lightning, you know, he'd hit the floor. But yeah, I think like in all of the things we've done, they've not always been in a wrestling capacity. But if I look back and I think about a lot of the nonsensical stuff, and this is probably quite epic, and we won't go into the latter part of the story because we've done that to death.
Jeez.
But the first part is everyone remembers, especially people if they're around in the wrestling business these days, you've probably come across a lot of iconic, famous wrestlers. One of my favourite things I remember us doing is Jam and I just had a 6-man tag, and we were leaving. Now I was covered in my black effluence, and my trousers were at my ankles, and I was wearing women's leopard print underwear.
Yeah.
And Jam O'Malley was beside me, covered in effluence and undressed himself.
And clown face paint.
And in clown face paint. And as we are leaving the ringside area, going backstage, of all people, in the annals of wrestling history to come up and need to shake her hand because he was on next was Bret the Hitman Hart.
No, when you're finished in here, will you come and tell us so I can lock the door?
No problem, pal.
no
Thank you very
problem.
much.
So on that note, it was Bret Hart that we stand there shaking hands with one of the, understood as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And there's a Z-list shaking hands with the excellent of execution, and my trousers are at my ankles, and wearing women's underwear covered in black liquid, and there's Jam partly dressed. His womble noses are out as well, and we're standing there shaking hands with Bret Hart, who probably thought he was in a bad dream. And as Bret Hart did his bit, which was to kind of talk and do whatever Bret was doing, he comes back upstairs, and in the corner is Jam and myself. Bret had been all over the joint. As he's coming back upstairs, Jam and I are brutally frisking a wrestler known as Scotty Ricio, and of all people, Scotty's like, Bret, please, guys, please not in front of Bret Hart. And Jam just says out loud, don't worry, he's next.
I want to point out for the record, I did not try to frisk Bret Hart.
Which is a great shame, as you might have found his sharpshooter. Ho 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 ho! I said that, remember, don't everyone give Jam a hard time when you hear this, because you probably will try, but he's got a promotion and he might book you, so don't. I don't know, so you can make fun of me, but as I've said, I'm inviting you to Castle Macula where I'll kick you so hard in the knob it'll fly through your head.
And I want to point out, I won't book you.
Even better. So I think that's one of our best moments, because it was right in front of one of the wrestling gods. Everyone looks up to Bret Hart, and there's us
Being idiots.
just being total douches, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to meet some of the most famous, I spoke to Chavo Guerrero for ages about wrestling figures.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. Oh dear.
Who are some of your favourite tag teams to work with?
Oh, I just found a big hair there. It's not even mine.
Is that pube?
Oh, I don't know. I hope not. Tag teams that we've worked with.
Okay.
Well, sometimes we've kind of got the refuge parts of tag teams where it's like we've just been given these, people have been
Thrown together,
kind of
yeah.
fed to us.
Oh, okay.
But I think if I look at tag teams that we actually worked alongside, the Weekend Warriors, who were incredibly underrated at the time.
Yeah, I liked working with them.
Guys that work up in Scottish Wrestling Entertainment, where they were a good team, and they were called the Weekend Warriors. We had one or two matches with them, but we did have a good time, and the combination of Stallion and Kevin Williams as a syndicate was actually one of our better matches, I think, because we worked quite well with the dynamic that we had. But I'm trying to think of the Mega Pals. We've not actually had a proper opportunity.
Yeah, we never actually worked with them.
We've had run-ins, but we've never had an opportunity. And I think there could have been a lot of good stuff there. But with Jam and myself, we found ourselves in a situation where we'd be often fed comedy characters that were thrown together as a team. But when we've been the Z-list, I mean, I really liked the combination of Steve the Pirate and Maria Castle that we were against the last Rad Pro show, because we managed to kind of I guess sell what it was we were doing.
Yeah.
As much as it seems like a bizarre combination, a pirate, a woman and two weirdos, we got an interesting enough match out of it. So I think I'll always remember the Weekend Warriors.
They were fun. I liked them.
Yeah. What would you consider wrestling? A sport or an art?
A sport or what, sorry?
Or an art. Oh well, you know my answer.
Can't it be both?
Yeah.
I hate to, I hate to say it, but the best way I can describe it is sports entertainment.
Yeah.
I know a lot of folk about art really, but yeah, like sports entertainment.
I think it's too
There is-
sporty to be art, but too
Yeah.
arty to be sport.
Yeah.
And it's a happy medium
Sports
between the two.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Maybe sports
or
entertainment.
sportsertainment.
Sports entertainment. Let's go for it.
But I think that's a good way of looking at it. And wrestling now is kind of changed into films, into something that's sold. Like even the W that used to be wrestling in WWE, it doesn't mean wrestling anymore.
Yeah.
So in that reality, continue it being an art form. It always will be, where theatre and sport is at its most base and combined, I think.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, the best answer.
Best answer.
Look at my quad. Oh.
So that was the last question I've got for you. Is how can people find you on social media?
Well, I
Do they want to?
I know, do they want to? Well, I have a little page that's called the Z List. It's not there to get loads of likes, by the way. It's just there as a Z List, kind of an encyclopedia into the history of what we've done,
Yeah.
all the splinter factions, everything that's happened. I kind of like, since Jam and I stopped working so frequently together, the Z List page hasn't really been updated. But if you want to find out who certain characters were, what certain things happened, go to it. But I'm on Facebook as Euan, simply as Euan. But if you know Thomas, or Thomas has put this up, you can maybe tag me in it. That would be great. If you want to get to know me, and I think that you should. Jam's got his own. He's got multiple pages.
I've got that damn Jam on Twitter and on Facebook. Again, yeah, the Z List page is another one. It's like it's not really been updated, but you know, who knows? I might get
You'll find us.
I might get a wee
on it.
update.
And you've got your just throw this in. Selly's company, Jam, also is a big part of Reckless Intent
Reckless
Wrestling in Scotland. Do check them out. Improving all the time. Very good shows. Very well attended. Very professional, in my opinion. I reckon that you should check them out and like his page as well, because clearly you are an admin. You are. You've got some kind of admin preferences, so. You'll see a lot of stuff on there as well, and now and again you'll see my beautiful countenance.
Also, if you feel like it, Wee Jimmy on Facebook, tag him, mention him,
tag him in
photos,
absolutely everything.
whatever you want, just mention Wee Jimmy.
He hates it, but remember his feelings don't matter. So that's
fine.
pretty much the direction you have to take there.
But yeah, check out Reckless Intent. I've been to one of the shows. It was excellent. And you have also got a charity show coming up.
We do indeed on October 21st, I believe. October 21st, we have a show for our good friend Scott the Butcher Rennick.
Yeah.
Scott had to retire from wrestling in February there. He was diagnosed with kidney disease. So we're running a show basically to help Scott and his young family. You know, the guy's got a wife and 3 kids, and he sadly he's on dialysis at the moment and cannot work. So we're going to put a show together. I won't give too much away just yet, but again, keep an eye on the social media side of things to find out more.
And
but there's going to be at least already there's names from. Even down here in the northeast, we'll be travelling up for that show. People from London, folk from the
has
top
a
of
great
Scotland.
significance for not just Scottish wrestling but UK wrestling
Yeah.
as well, because Scotty he kind of, I was going to say he brought a lot, but in his own little way he just worked hard and he became quite a good part of the environment, and to see this happen to him is quite heartbreaking, because he didn't rustle any feathers or ruffle any feathers. He didn't get in anyone's way, and he was happy to wrestle. He'd chosen to do it, and to see him go in this, have this situation in his life, it's a shame for him.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to let him know that he was appreciated in the time he was there.
Yeah. Again, it'll be a fantastic show. People from promotions all over the UK will be joining us for that show. If you're a fan, check out. We're also going to have a page so anyone that wants to donate can donate. We're also going to have, and I'll put this out there, auction that will be online soon. And the auction is going to be for a Sanity t-shirt signed by Alexander Wolf, Eric Young, and of course Nikki Cross and Killian Dane, who when they wrestled here in the UK the team was Scotty as part of BMW. That has been signed. It was signed on Monday night at NXT in Aberdeen. Dane Damo handed that shirt to myself, and it will be up for auction very soon, so keep an eye open for that as well.
Excellent. Now only one last thing to say, Thomas. What time is it?
It is 20 to 9.
No, it's time to get naked!
Yes!
Oh dear!
Oh
no!
Oh, I can feel the squiggle sacks.
I should have expected that one.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, you
Did
should
you
have.
have fun?
I had fun.
Good. You can edit it out there.
No, that's perfectly fine. Right. Thank you for everyone who
welcome,
listened.
man. I hope that's all right.
Yeah, man.
And I thank you
Thank you
to
very
you
much.
both yous.
Welcome,
And I'll
stuff,
see you all later. Bye.
Big
Big thank you to the Z List today for coming on the podcast. Awesome interview. I know I say that a lot, that was an awesome interview, but these two guys, This has probably been my favourite interview to listen back to, because it's just two really interesting people. Just not only like the characters or the gimmicks. Like, I know they said they're not gimmicks, which I think that might be why, you know, like their wrestling persona and them are so alike, and they're just such interesting guys. Like, I always knew that Euan was quite interesting from I've trained with him before, but I've never really like spent an awful lot of time with Jam O'Malley. But awesome, like he really done a good. They both done a good interview today, and I expected it to be good, didn't know it would be that good. Just blew away my expectations. Big thank you to them because they stayed back behind but after the Rad Pro Wrestling show. So that's, I can't thank them enough for that, because I know how it's bad. It's not bad enough. I don't expect wrestlers from around the northeast to even stay back after shows, but when they were all travelling back to Scotland straight after the show, and they had like a 3 or 4 hour car journey, so I didn't expect them to do that, but they were so cool about it, so I'm grateful for that. There was a point in the podcast where Debbie Sharp came in. Michael Chase also came in with her, but we never mentioned him because he never spoke, but well, he didn't speak at the time. You might have heard him a couple of times through the podcast mentioning stuff to Jam or Euan. But yeah, Michael Chase was also there with Debbie Sharp before she left. She did not get edited out, so hopefully she'll be happy about that, and I hope she enjoyed our Thai food. Moving away from those guys, big thank you to Rad Pro Wrestling and Simonside Social Club, who have allowed me to record at the show and the venue. Awesome. I can't thank Cabbie Klowaski enough. He's been really helpful and really supportive of this podcast, especially this time around. Like, really helped us and let us know. Like, I asked him before the show, and he just said, he's just said, do it like when they've had their match, just you can go and do it, no problem. So big thank you to him, and Rad Pro as a whole always welcome us. So eternally grateful, should I say. Just awesome, because obviously not only have they let us record at the show, but it's with like two of the top guys on the show as well, so like big outside work. So big thank you. Of course, that I was very, very nervous. I was nervous interviewing Jam and Euan anyway, and then when Debbie and Michael came in, like Debbie sat right next to us, I was nervous as shit, cause like Debbie and Michael, as well as Jam and Euan, you know what I mean. I get nervous doing this when I know the people really well, but I didn't know any of them really well, and I was very nervous. But all of them were great. None of them, like, obviously I've already done the podcast with Michael. He was awesome. I hope to do it with Debbie soon too. Haven't spoken about it yet, but hopefully I can get one done with Debbie as well. But and Jam and Euan, like, I've met them before, but I never knew them too well. But I feel like I know them a lot more. That's a good thing about like doing these podcasts. Is like it's not just like, the main thing is raising awareness for like British wrestling and Northeast wrestling. But I think also like it's good for me on a personal level to like get to know these people, and obviously know the stories, but that's like also like it's a reason why people listen to it too. From what I've been told by various people, like they say that it gets you to know the people who are on, like the people behind the wrestlers, more than you ever would, like speaking to them for a little bit after a show or anything like that. So yeah, like I feel like that's a big positive, and I think we've got two very interesting guests on today. So big thank you to the guests, big thank you to Radpro, big thank you to the social club, and yeah, just big thank you to everyone you. Like, I get lost for words. Like, I can't explain how well this podcast has been. Like, how well it's done. Like, I know it's not to a level where I can brag about anything, but it's just I had no idea I was gonna have this much support. This many people are gonna listen to it. It's just amazing. Big thank you to everyone. And make sure you check out my next podcasts. And the last thing I want to mention really is that Maximum Pro Wrestling are running a seminar on the 13th of October, and they're running it with Mr. Johnny Moss, and I feel like this is a thing that I should promote because that is an amazing opportunity if you're in the wrestling business, if you've had any sort of experience in wrestling and you fancy getting a bit more knowledge and experience and some of the best training you're ever going to get. I would check out this seminar. It's £25 to train with the ITV World of Sports star, and he's also was a trainer for WWE at the Performance Centre, training guys like Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura and guys like that. So I don't think there's much reason. He runs his own school of Hard Knocks. It's only £25. You must message the Maximum Pro Wrestling page to book your place, and also you can deposit, and your deposit is £10. I believe you can also pay up front, obviously, pay the up to £25. The training seminar is, as I say, it's on the 13th of August, but it starts at 12 o'clock. They're expected to be there for about 11:30. It's about 3 hours long, and so obviously it'll finish at about 3 o'clock. But there's very limited spaces because it's such a obviously it's a popular thing that a lot of people are going to be interested in, and of course you can only train a certain amount of people at a time, so just make sure you go and check it out. Like, you're getting trained off a guy who's the world of sport, what culture, he's been with WWE. There's not really much more I can say to like convince you. If you're not convinced, just check out his stuff. Check out Johnny Moss's stuff, because he's an awesome guy. Like, I've never trained with him, but I know a lot of people who have, and just watching him, he's incredible. So yeah, just check that out, and I hope all you guys will take the opportunity upon yourselves. I felt like it was important for us to advertise it, as it is a big opportunity. It is very local as well, so big like, just check them out. But highly recommend it. And other than that, big thank you to everyone again, and I'll see you all later.